Make sure. Hello, hello. Okay, I can hear myself. I do need to be more consistent about when I stream. I will definitely, when the school year starts, I would like to sit down and make a more coherent schedule, because I do like the flexibility of being able to stream whenever. But clearly, I think people would appreciate more as of a heads up instead of me just flashing out of the blue and doing it so suddenly. Let me pull this up on my phone. So like last time, we're gonna play Magic the Gathering first. The reason I do that is just so I give people like enough time to like trickle in, I guess. Not that there's like usually more than like a couple people at best, but yes, please update. Not accurate about my live status. Oh yeah, so I'm also going to talk about this today. I retweeted this earlier. So we actually have a little bit of an exploration about the color identity on the monoist, and we will talk about that after I play around with Magic Arena. Because I could talk about it now. Okay, maybe change the plans. Maybe we'll see how long this takes. If it takes too long, maybe I'll just I'll read the Magic story first, and then I'll just cover this immediately. And I think this is also a good idea to show how much like thought Mark Rosar and the rest of the team puts in the color identity of everyone. And a lot of people think like this idea that Mark is like I guess like a blubbering idiot when it comes to Magic the Gathering. And I'm not saying he's never made mistakes, but Mark Rosar definitely doesn't get enough credit, especially in regards to his takes on the color pie and his understanding of it. I think sometimes I think part of the reason people also don't give Mark Rosar enough credit is because sometimes he's talking about things from like a mechanical in Magic the Gathering like perspective, and sometimes talking about from like a broader flair perspective. So like sometimes Magic the Gathering is like a game, so each color has like its own mechanics, even though in real life it'd be a lot more blurred. So sometimes you have awkward situations where it's like, yeah, this character like philosophically is definitely blue, but mechanically, if we were in Death After Magic the Gathering, we kind of have to have red in it, like just because of how it plays, and like the symbology they use in Magic the Gathering, the symbolism. I'm just checking to make sure I posted my update. The YouTube link doesn't work. Someone should probably tell me, but we're already getting some like they're updating. I assume what they're doing is they're putting the cards. They're putting some of the cards in the game, so that way the update doesn't take as long when it comes out. But this is an interesting piece of art too. I do like the almost like a clashing like of this dark purple like that we know is associated potentially with like the monoist, and then like the gold light. Although it doesn't appear like this is a monoist v Palatinate fight, it appears like it's like this is over a like the Kavu home planet, and these look like more like honestly like Pinnacle ships, maybe like more of the color palette. And then we have the Super Void back here, which is I just love the background of like the Super Void always being there as like almost like you can't escape it. Let me make sure. You know what? I will post this. Just I don't like to advertise myself because I don't want to be annoying, but maybe I will post this in RadleyCon just in case anyone wants to hear my thoughts. Oh shit! Wait, can I show my memes while this is loading? Oh fuck! Maybe I'll show some of my Magic the Gathering memes. I have made memes, and some of them have done bangers. I will say, but okay. So we're just gonna play like usual. We're just gonna play like 1 or 2 rounds of best of 3. I'm just gonna run Rakdos because I made it to Diamond. So we'll see how it goes. So play first. We'll keep. We have 3 lands, and this isn't a very mana like. We don't have a lot of high mana like mana cost cards. I think we'll start with Blackleaf Cliffs just so we can insta like go in. This deck is really aggressive. Unfortunately, we do not have Swiftspear. Monastery Swiftspear because I'd appreciate the prowess, so we can just ping for 1, but and they're playing red, so okay. I'm gonna play Dreadhorde Arcanist. It's a little tougher. They can probably just kill it because if they get anything with like 2 mana for red these days, usually one red will get you like 2 damage, and then two mana will get you like 3 damage, so they might kill it anyway, but okay, that's fine. So we're gonna do Swift Spear Teaching because it gives a boon and a draw card. So a lot of people don't know about prowess, or I mean, people should know this, but what someone may not know who's new to the game may not realize that prowess can actually stack. So you can actually have like haste, prowess. And what that just means is that if a prowess goes off, the other prowess also goes off, so it'll prowess twice. So if you have 2 instances of prowess on a card, what will happen is basically it'll get +2 because +1 will happen 2 times. Yeah, that's fair. That's some good damage. I'm kind of worried because they're playing Izzet, and a lot of these Izzet decks have been a little bit scary for some of my decks, but and they probably can't just kill Monastery Swift Spear anyway because they're gonna swing the Dread toward Arcanist, and then yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit. So they'll do when they deal combat damage, or just in damage in general. I guess it's Curiosity. They'll draw a card. Okay, so now I can kill my Dreadhorde Arcanist, which is unfortunate. I'm not feeling this round. We're probably gonna lose this just because they're pushing kind of ahead. But we'll do this. This. I mean, we actually might be able to do some good damage here. I think we just swing and we just try to kill them as fast as possible because at this point, they kind of. I don't think trying to stay here and try to kill Dreadhorde Arcanist is going to do much for us. We don't have a problem though because they're definitely activating that prowess. Melt through, fair. Okay, I don't think we're gonna win this, but I'll play this for card draw. I'll play this. That's not fast enough. We do need a second spell though. I'm gonna tap this manually because it usually doesn't tap that because it is like, oh, you don't want to hurt yourself. So but I want this more because I can cast a red or black spell. This that activates that. I don't. Well, we can ping for 2 now, but I'm not sure it's looking good. Besides that, Tome of Gadwick. Gadwick is kind of like an Eldraine reference. Preordained, ponder, opt, consider, serum visions. When I think Gadwick, I don't think serum visions. That's kind of like a weird card flavor wise. The hot scour. I'm kind of curious about why this just besides them all being blue 1 mana blue draws. I'm like obsessed with search, sure, piece together makes sense, but like I'm not sure. I think serum visions. I think Gadwick from Fantasy King Arthur Eldraine, or maybe am I thinking of the wrong person? Bill illustrations of Gadwick himself. The price was coveted by. Yeah, he's from Eldraine, so I just don't think Serum Visions when I think Gadwick. So their deck actually seems very, very creature based, despite being an Izzet deck. So I think we want more creature removal and just stuff to deal with their creatures. And then we'll take a Bump of the Night. Because Bump of the Night we can cast it for its flashback cost. And maybe we cut a Quarry Steel Cutter. I'm thinking for Bump of the Night. Maybe a Dreadhorde. No. So Disruptor Flute, they're playing some of the same cards as this, but with Disruptor Flute we can declare. I'm thinking we declare play with fire, so they can't cast it for cheap removal, and then we can also play. We can also declare like something like melt through, so you can just pick up their cheap removal. Anyway, Monastery Swift Spear. So that Racuous Theater does okay. We actually have a play here. We can play Bump of the Night to deal 3. Then we can play Secure the Critics to kill that. Because Soul Scar Mage is pretty scary because it puts -1/-1 counters instead of damage, which is like sure they fall off when it dies, but I'd rather not have like to deal with all my stuff shrinking, especially since they're not very big anyway. Fair enough. I'm just gonna play Bud Crypt, and this turn I'm gonna play Luris the Dreamed In because I can't really think of anything better to do. And then next turn we can just cast we can Surveil and cast Swiss Spear Teachings twice. I'm worried about that though. That's better. That's not bad. The only problem is we don't have any like spells, so we can't. All my lands are gonna end up intertapped. We don't really have anything to proc the prowess, but I think this will just die because he's gonna bump up Dreadhorde Arcanist and kill that. Tome of Gadwick. Okay, we basically have two options. We can try to cast Luris and then place down a Monastery Swift Spear, or we just try to instant cast. I think we cast down Luris. Luris probably dies, but it's at least more dangerous for them to like have to deal with 2 things on the board instead of just a Dreadhorde Arcanist. They can just bolt or something and kill. Or they Pyroclasm. That's fair enough. Dreadhorde Arcanist. Bump in the Night. Now we can cast this for Spectacle cost. We'll play Rakush's Theater just because we can surveil. I'm not sure that's any good, but I'm gonna keep it. I probably shouldn't have kept it actually. I just don't think it deals enough damage to justify keeping, but I'm figuring we can maybe cast it and swing or something. You know, there's a break because they have 3 or more power. Yep. Okay, Bump in the Night. We might be able to just kind of edge out a win here if they don't kill us next turn, because we might be able to Burst Lightning, bring him down to 4, sacrifice Barbarian Ring at Threshold to bring him down to 2. How much damage about the deal here? You know, this is a weird card because this could have just been like a paper card. The next sorcery spell you cast this turn can be cast as though it has Splash. That could literally just be a normal Magic the Gathering card. A skilled Izzet Chronarch can carry out an epic vendetta between the fall of 1 hourglass and a grain of the next. Anyway, what do I want to do here? See, the problem is I'm afraid that if I I'm afraid if I try to bolt them on series, they just catch another spell in response. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think we're dead. And I'm not sure. I mean, they drew a card, so maybe considers the card they drew. But I'm feeling like if we try to bolt that, they just cast another instant in response. Four, five, six, seven. But then I can't cast. I can't cast burst lightning because we just die. Because this brings us for one when we tap it. Okay, we're also dead still. Okay, let's just read the story, and then we'll come back to this later. Oh, hey, this is cute. This reminds me of like those really old Magic trailers that are just like pieces of art that are kind of like moving around. This is like one of those really. This brings me back to like one of those really old Magic the Gathering trailers, like those old Innistrad trailers and shit. I wonder if this is on the official channel. The nihilistic monoist. I do like how they're categorized them both as enemies. Like these are both factions that you should be questioning. The greatest danger might be what they're or who they're carrying it to. I will say I kind of wish the font had like a black border around it or something to help differentiate a bit more, but that's really cute. Hold on, I wonder if that's on the official like Magic the Gathering site. Magic. And we got mechanics and archetypes. Maybe we want to watch that. Also YouTube.
Eternities is on the horizon, and this brand new space fantasy plane is absolutely magic plane ever heard.
Just looks like card art. I was hoping they'd show like I was hoping that they'd show like that trailer somewhere because that was a cute. Like if you've seen like those really hold on. Like the trailers I'm talking about, like these old like this shit. Like a really old Magic where they just kind of have like the like it's not like a full like 3D like they don't have like 3D models or anything. It's just like card art moving around like edited. Definitely looks like a more refined version of this style. Like this style is definitely dated and clunky in some ways, especially like the bat wings you just saw. So anyway, one day I'll probably sit down and talk about like my favorite Magic the Gathering trailers and like just for them from a technical standpoint. We'll watch a little bit of this. Why not? I feel like I've been seeing this guy around more. I feel like he's being like sponsored by Magic. Okay. That does not ease my worries at all, to be honest. Okay, we know about Station. What are the archetypes? I think it's a well. I mean, I'm sure this is on Scrapball, but I think this is the first time. This is the first time I'm seeing this card like in a trailer or something. Interesting how like these little orbs, almost like they're like resemble like this, like a stylized sun, like gold orbs. I do notice. I think the Palatinate does have those in other ships. I should probably check. And here we see it on Arena. Here we see the new Arena layout, which looks like the Pinnacle. This looks like we're in like the Pinnacle area. I like how you're looking at a little control station. Soon. New token landed. We already know about this, don't we? Oh, here's the new card. Here's a new warp effect, which is pretty cool. I like how like it looks like almost like digital, or like a sci-fi setting. What dark arted. Void. I mean, okay, we'll come back to this later because I've already seen all this. We already read this and I went over it. But anyway, so here so it's like always. So here I want to talk about the color pie a little bit, at least as far as the Monoist and the Palatinate. Oh my god, try not to die. Where's my water, please? So here we have more Mark Rosaura's comments, which I would recommend that if you're interested in the color pie, read Mark Rosaura's articles to get a better understanding of it. I feel like Mark Rosaura's like understanding of it is often like downplayed, or he's treated like as like a bad writer or like creator, even though he actually knows what he's talking about, at least in regards to color pie. Like I do think that weirdly, I think if the Magic team listened to Mark Rosaura about what he thought was a color pie break more often, it probably wouldn't happen as often. But here we have hello. In the Age of Eternity story, the Monoists are presented as pushing the universe towards ultimate destiny, i.e. the heat death of the universe is going to complete pass eventually, so we must embrace it and make it happen faster. That strikes me as very green. So already, I don't think that's necessarily true. It can be green in my opinion, but I don't think it necessarily is very green, because green is all about letting stuff progress at its natural rate. So basically, like, don't touch it, just let it go. Like you're not like green isn't about fighting fate or trying to make fate speed up. You're trying to leave it as it is. Anyway, some of the Monoists have a bunch of math equations that spit out the objectively most ethical thing to do. That's the whitest, bluest things I've heard in my life. Do you have any insight into the monocolored nature of these factions' philosophies? Green is about things happening at the rate they're supposed to happen. So yeah, changing the natural order, including speeding it up, is very blue-black, aka Green's enemies. So there's a couple things to dissect here. So first of all, I do agree that you could read them as white and blue, but it's important to understand that blue isn't the only color that cares about math, or the character that can care about math. And I think there's a bit of I feel like if there was more of a blue faction, to be more like an idea of like perfection, like trying to perfect everything, which I'm not really so much. I mean, the Monos do kind of have that, but it's not like white doesn't care about making the world a better place. And even then, blue is the idea that you can like change destiny and you are in control of yourself and the world around you. And it's clear that the Palatinate does not actually completely believe that. We see that with the last story that the angel gave like told I don't remember their name, told his name. The angel told them like one of the knights like, hey, I did a quantum computation, you're gonna die. And instead of going like, okay, we can change it, they're like, okay, I accept it, which makes sense for more of a white faction, because white is next to green. So white, unlike blue, believes like there's more things you cannot change, and blue's pretty like there are things you can change with enough knowledge or information. So I think that that kind of confirms that they might lean a bit more towards white, which is like this idea of like, yes, you can change some things, you can push towards a better place, but some things are just going to happen. Ooh, Pinnacle Emissary. Some things are just going to happen, and you kind of got to live with it. Even if we're doing stuff for the greater good, even if we make the world a better place. Sir Von Dam. And I also agree with Mark's assessment that the mono I can see them maybe being black green. I can see an argument for that, but at least as far as mono green, I don't think they're mono green because Mark is right. They are trying to change fate. They're trying to speed it up because because it's important to point out that they're mono black, not mono blue. Like blue is more of the idea that you can like do almost anything with like the right amount of information and technology. So a blue faction might be like, hey, we might be able to stop the actually stop the singularity, or maybe even change it somehow to make it more beneficial. But the monoists are, remember, black is like closer to red, and red's more like just follow your heart and you can't try to fight everything. So black is more like not as much about that, even if it is also very much in control of your own destiny. And it's also important to point out that there's clearly a differentiation in the monoist and Palatinate, and the monoists are still very individualistic in philosophy. I don't know who's slamming a door down there. In that the monoists are like all about upholding the individual and the individual like rights and stuff, and the Palatinate seems to be more about the grid in a whole. And I do agree with Mark's assessment that changing the natural order, including speeding up, is very blue-black. It's like the idea that you can like control the world around you. And green is not green. It says basically like you either can't, or even if you can, you shouldn't. So a green fact would be like, hey, when they're going to be a singularity, there's no point in trying to speed it up or slow it down because it's going to happen. It's going to happen one way or another anyway. There's no point in touching that. So that does make a lot of sense, and I do think more people should read Mark Waters' color articles. And it's also important to point out that multiple colors and color combinations can overlap. So they're all like, I think it's really tempting to want to go like, oh, there's one objective reading of what color this faction could always be. And it's like, well, it depends on the faction, because some factions you could read as different color combinations depending on, because colors do overlap. Like even enemy colors do have agreements. So there's always like a reading of like maybe a different color combinations you could have if you really wanted to. But I do agree that with Mark, the monoists don't read as green because they're trying, at least not mono green, because they're trying to change the natural order, because they view the end goal as worth it. So they're trying to change the natural order. And also they're not white because yes, they will sacrifice themselves, but from their perspective, they're as an individual, they have something to gain from it, right? They're not doing this like, oh, I'm sacrificing for the greater good just because. They're like, well, if you sacrifice yourself, you get to go to you get to get pulled into the next eternity, and where it's basically like another world or heaven, not necessarily heaven, but like at least another world. So there's still like an individual motivator as to why they're doing it, as opposed to just doing it for the greater good or for the good of somebody else or like some bigger calculation. And that's something that Black loves to do, is that it's easy to see Black like this lone wolf that never works with anyone, but Black actually does. And one of the ways Black tries to like work with other people is by giving them appealing to their individuality. What do you as an individual do you want, right? Because like white, you can appeal to the individual, but it's usually going to lean more towards like trying to appeal to like the greater good. Like, hey, if we, think about making society better. Think about doing it for the cause. Well, Black's gonna be like, okay, if you do what I say, you specifically will get more money, or you will get to the next eternity, or whatever have you. And I just think it's a very interesting like take, especially on these very religious factions, because Magic's dabbled in religions before, like with the Orzhov and stuff. And I think this is a very interesting take on Black too, because every time we see Black in a religion in Magic the Gathering, it's usually like, oh, they're conniving, backstabby little assholes who use religion for their own gain. It's like corrupt religion, which is like fine. It's interesting. Like it's a fine enough take, but I do think it's like an interesting like departure from that, as showing Black not just being evil, or at least not more evil than like the White Line faction. And it shows like White and Black both at their kind of worst in some ways, but also like they're not just like pure evil. Like it's a more interesting and nuanced take, and that the white religion isn't just evil, and that the Black faction, the white religion is just good, and the Black faction isn't just evil. And also this, I'm not gonna watch obviously not gonna listen to this because I'm gonna read it out right now, but this is a pretty interesting effect where they have like a sort of sci-fi like hub. So it's almost like you're watching a video watching this through a video feed. Revision 10, Scratches and Hair. After he finishes screaming, Alpharel learns a few names. The old woman who knows what she's about to do is Sima. Nagushua's best friend, a Meccan, has forgotten her, and she no longer wants to live. Jesus Christ, dude! Is everyone everyone in this ship needs therapy and suicide? I will say my critique of the mono is maybe they should have invest in some therapy. All right. The mention of him in front of him is Zaga Choir, who is thrilled to be going to paradise. The hardest one of them is Puriel, a murderer who believes the next eternity is populated with has been populated with the cast of some monoisms, undesirables, and heretics who have been encouraged to take the plummet so everyone can be quit of them. This is in Puriel's opinion is turning the next eternity into a kind of penal colony. So she's going ahead to paradise to enforce discipline and to make sure it's ready for ready for the rest of the true faith to arrive. That does read as kind of white in alignment. Just to be clear that just because a faction is generally like black aligned or white aligned, there are always like exceptions in Magic where like individual characters might be like have like a touch of black or blue or green. Like we see even here, like the Palatinate in general is white aligned, but then you have like Halia who's like white green. This doesn't mean that the faction is suddenly like multicolor. It just means that like the faction is definitely like they have one color, and then maybe sometimes you have like exceptions. Like even on like Innistrad, like the vampires at the moment are like red, white, and black, but you do have like black blue vampires, like the like there's like the ocean family that really cares about the ocean. Hold on, Stormkirk. So you have like a Stormkirks who are like a subcategory of the vampires, and they're kind of like black blue. So sometimes you will see this, like sometimes like that character definitely reads as more like black white maybe, but I still think the monoists at their core, their ideologies, it seems like they're going for is like a more of a black line thing. My sister's not a heretic. Alpharel protest. You would never meet a more faithful woman. Periel suspiciously. They chose her for the plummet, didn't they? Maybe the monastery wanted to get rid of her. They chose her because she was wonderful, and you're chasing after her, I suppose, because you're just as wonderful. Monoism does not encourage false modesty. So this again feels kind of like sort of like black alignment. Like we don't care, like being like we don't care about like all these like we like black is more like every person for themselves. Like if you get your feelings hurt, it's yours to deal with. But still, after like if you respect someone, like usually black will probably respect someone because they want something, or because like philosophically anyway, it's like they could see him as a friend, but maybe it's also because they want something, or just because like you don't just want to fuck with everyone randomly. Or but still, Afrael can only manage to say, "Well, I'm fine." The way you were screaming a minute ago, old Sema says, I think you're not ready to die. I won't die. I'll take Sekar. We will. The way you were screaming a minute ago, old Sema says, sounds like a man going to die. Second Quiet turns around to look back at Alpharel. His face socketed in the center of sagging, massive plate of alabile metal split into a smile. Don't be afraid, Alphario. It'll be paradise. You'll see your sister again. The innovator groans and shimmies. Old Sema closes her helmet. This is the grace of gravity, someone says. And then they are all saying the prayer together. Gravity is the gift of purpose, a free path. So once again, this definitely feels like a very black, like, hold on. I'm going to read the entire thing first, and I'll loop back around to maybe picking it apart. Gravity is the gift of purpose, a free path. Effortlessly, we speed towards our faith and our fate. And when we are close enough to fate, time and space changes places. Going down becomes the same path as passing time. The absence of effort, the geodesic of destiny. Obey your nature. Acceptance, not resignation. Inevitability, not inaction. Do what comes to you. The fact that it came to you makes it right. Down is the same as tomorrow. Nothing tests our faith. So anyway, again, you see like a bit of a black here, where it's like a free path, where it's the idea that you are in control of your own destiny. Like this gravity is giving you control of your fate. And we do see like what could be read as green, like obey your nature. Acceptance is not resignation, which is fair. I guess you maybe could see a bit of green there. But also you have, but again, I definitely don't think they're mono green. And I do like acceptance, not resignation, inevitably not inaction. Because like black, like I said, black is not blue, so it's slightly different. And this definitely feels like a black sort of thing where it's like, okay, you cannot escape death, but that doesn't mean you just sit there and just do nothing. Like you can do something about it, or you can like take control of it. Because like a green would probably be like acceptance, like why fight it? Like just resign to your fate. You know what I mean? But black is more like you can accept it, but you don't gotta take that shit lying down. Nothing tests our fate. He roars with all of them. Nothing tests our faith. Then they hit. There's a hideous sound and a spike-wrecking jolt. As it strikes the dawn side, the innovator deploys a cyst of altered space. It's a tactical event horizon, a Cherazad. For the next 10 minutes, the impact will smear the innovator and everyone inside into a blast of metal and flesh is suspended. For the next 10 minutes, the impact that will smear the innovator and everyone inside into a blast of metal and flesh is suspended, trapped on the horizon. Well, most of the collision is trapped. The invader's nose explodes outwards. Everyone inside hurtles forward, howling and crying their gods' names. Outside it is fury. Every Kinedomine in the compartment hits Zagaquire. His alabile armor puckers and glows where the anti-armor mines land their stings. Each sting carries a warhead, and the warhead should explode, but the incident armor successfully deletes the event. So this actually does feel like, okay, so if you know anything about Warhammer 40k, and sorry to fucking boss baby this shit again, but in Warhammer 40k, this does feel like a specific reference to bolters, because in case you don't know, even though bolters may look like normal guns, there's very big guns, how a bolter actually works in 40k is actually a rocket propelled explosive. So they're bullet shaped, but they're bigger than normal bullets, and they move as fast as bullets. But how they're supposed to work is that with a bolter, let me pull up a gun. With a bolter, what you do is in the universe, how it works is you fire the projectile from this thing, and then what it does, it hits a target, and then the idea is it either it's usually supposed to dig into the armor, but it might just like get stuck in the armor, and then it explodes for extra damage. That's how it's supposed to work. And this works basically exactly like a bolter. It sounds like a stinger, sounds like a bolter. Like each stinger is a warhead. It's a personal, like it's a weapon you can carry, you can fire it, and then they explode. But instead of exploding, it lands in the armor, and the armor deletes it. So there's clearly some weird timey-wimey stuff going on with the faction, which makes sense because they're obviously also gravity-based. And gravity and time are connected, and gravity warps time. So instead of exploding him, the mind stingers ricochet inside his armor and inside him. Fuck. They're in a vast brutalist girder set, the carbon chain bracing between the Dawnsire's inner and outer halls. Wounded Enkagla spills crazed rainbow light all over them. Ship blood. Everyone casts their center of mass forward, leaps like locusts for the inner hall. There's motion there, shining forms taking cover between the girders and frames. The enemy. The purpose of cover is not to avoid being shot. You will be detected and shot anyway, but to force enemy weapons to cut through the cover to get to you. So this feels like once again a sci-fi nerd is writing this, and like they're basically like, everything's so advanced and so powerful, why do you not just like why take cover? And here's the reason. Because it basically like lowers the impact, because they're probably stronger than normal bullets, so it probably won't completely block, but it probably lowers the strength, the impact. Sunstar soldiers are like cover because they like beam weapons. Monos like to swarm over them and cover and tear them apart. So again, what's interesting, the beam weapons is a common, obviously, sci-fi trope, but I think it's also referring to like the Sunstar obviously have like a strong light theme, like the literally sun, star, and the Palatinate in general, and the White Line in general just has like a strong like light motif, like in a lot of their art. Like they use a lot of light, like symbology, which is usually like the idea of like representing some sort of truth or objective morality that is like revealed in the light. Or even something like life, like the light of the sun. But Zagaquire doesn't move. Aphrael, he sends. His voice is wet and sloshing. I'm spinning. Yes, hang on. Aphrael tries to grapple with him, but they end up spinning together. Hang on, I'll stop you. No, spin me faster. It's keeping the blood away from my holes. No one's shooting at them. The rest of the boarding party falls upon free company foot soldiers. Photo Foy, armed with combat leaders and gladiators. I assume that the inspiration behind the name Gladiator is blade, and then probably like radiator or radiation or something, and then or something like that. And then Photo I don't know what that is, but it does have photo, which means relates to light of some sort, like photograph, photon, etc. From this distance, the battle sounds like crashing static. The enemy weapons look like scratchers and hair. Pulse trains of directed energy make bright scratches when they pass through clouds of vaporized metal, and jets of excited matter shed little corkscrew curly cues as they bend along field lines. It's pretty, Aphrael says to distract Zagaquire. Oh, there's a lot of blood coming out of the armor. Maybe the armor is the only thing holding Zag together. Alf? Zag gurgles. Yeah. I want to take Sekar now. Okay, are you sure? My heart hasn't beaten in a while, Alf. The armor's moving my blood. My veins itch. It's no good. So it's interesting that the armor seems to have some sort of life support system besides just like oxygen and stuff. Like it seems to be actually moving blood to keep you alive. And Sekar, I think, is the thing they're gonna do where they sacrifice themselves to take down an enemy, and they get sucked into a black hole to go to the next eternity, presumably. A scab of black alabile peels off his abdomen, and the canceled event stored inside comes spurting out. One of the stinger mines lodged in Zag's body detonates. This is really brutal for Magic the Gathering story. I will say. I know some people are gonna like post the fucking stupid ass SpongeBob meme where it's like the SpongeBob on like the fucking like bump and they're like losing their minds. But comparatively as far as Magic the Gathering goes, this feels very brutal. Like this feels like if I read this in a Warhammer book, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. His armor contains a blast, but he still makes a terrible burp. I can't give the command. I can't open my singularity bead. Help me. I can help. I can help. Where Alfredo fumbles at Zach acquires armor. Where's the damn thing? There. Same place on his brow. Here, I have it. Are you ready? I'm also wondering if a bit of like the black alignment also comes from the idea that like they're trying to like guarantee they go to the next eternity, like by setting off like black holes and stuff. Not in the sense that they're speeding it up, but like if you die before like the great crunch or whatever, or the singularity goes off, it's like, well, maybe you don't get to the next eternity. But if you just do it now, you can potentially cheat fate, get to the next eternity. Yes. Should I say something? Say, see you in the next eternity, Zach. See you in the next eternity, Zach. Thank you, Raphael. I'll say hello to your sister if I get there first. What's her name? Rafaela. That's like your name. I know, Zach. I know. This feels like a shot at the audience, like, oh, their names are similar. Yeah, okay. I've heard that before. Raphael crushes the singularity bead's housing and kicks free. Zach Acquire collapses into a violet pinprick, eaten by the uncaged void. It drifts there for a moment, but the ship is accelerating, moving up, and falls away beneath Raphael. It will go straight through the hall, headed for Sothera and the next eternity. If Raphael could see into the violet spark, he might glimpse the form of the faller, him who plummets. But there is no time. Raphael grabs the center of mass and throws it towards the battle. So it's interesting that the center of mass isn't like a physical thing. It's just like where it's describing like kind of like how gravity and your weight is spread out. It's a useful reference point for calculation mechanics that involves mass distribution. It's basically like center mass is basically like a reference to like how your like weight and mass distributed, not like a physical thing. But because they're using magic, it's interesting. Like they can literally just grab it and sort of throw it. Like they're literally changing it. Periel, the murderer, a Reeves foot soldier reaves a foot soldier's armor open with surface shears as long as her spine. A Summist, whose armor docks hundreds of dragonfly missiles, fires them all at once, and they all swing into the same growler beam and swat themselves into the deck. This is a very evocative image. I kind of want to see. I wonder if we see any of these. Like, I doubt we're gonna have a card called dragonfly missiles, but I'd be very interested to see like what kind of armor they're using. That just because this feels like more like mech armor that they're like launching like a bunch of shit at you. Old Seema grapples through the diffraction patterns of violet lasers, jets of vapor exploding from her armor, and slaps a Kano diamond on the crest of the enemy helmet. A Sunstar foot soldier battles beside two strokes of Nagusha's axe and blinds her with a flash of Blade-Eater light. It's interesting that they're using it like they can also use it as like a flash, because we basically up until this point I've only seen them use it like basically lightsabers or laser weapons, but it's a pretty interesting take on it. She grabs first into mask, pulling him onto her. She thrusts the Blade-Eater through her heart. So it definitely seems like they're not gonna. I mean, we knew it was a suicide mission, but they're really hammering in like they were not gonna make it out of this. Like they're just outnumbered. I wonder if I'd be surprised if this is a card, but once again, yeah, it doesn't hurt to check. I mean, we do see some like people getting like sucked into like singular like black holes and stuff, like especially like Palatinate, like being attacked. So I'm wondering if we can find a card like sort of like similar to that. I don't know. Anyway, I'll look for that later. Anyway, Old Seema grapples with the diffraction pattern. A Sunstar foot soldier battles. Yeah, he thrusts the Blade-Eater through her heart. No one retreats. No one regroups and runs. It's to the death for every last one of them. The Charizard's event horizon has cut this part of the Dawnsire off from the greater ship part of the ship. Reinforcements seconds away will not arrive for minutes. So once again, we have some weird timey-wimey gravity shit, like space and time, which is very interesting to see in how it's written and handled in the story. The Incoglas in the walls and the network the Sumas tap for power is quick to tap out and slow to refill. So interesting. We get interesting where the power source from. There is no entanglement relayed to borrow fate, no medics to call, no pulse trains of light shot through the hall by faraway knights. The soldiers of the true faith have the advantage. So it's interesting that their power works around isolating people, especially since especially a white faction is probably gonna rely a lot more on numbers and working together. So the black faction relying on isolating people to like win the battles is kind of interesting. Then it is over. Afriel barely got to swing his axe. The next obstacle is the alloy of the inner hall. Weak light bomb? Afriel tries to suggest, but several of the faith have already pounced with excitement of dark squirrels in the nearest hatch. This is a bit funny because we do have squirrels in Magic, and they tend to be green and black. So the black faction having the tenacity of I'm not saying it. The black alignment means squirrel, but I just think it's funny. Funny comparison. Also, it's funny because we just had Bloom Burrows. So, like, imagine if they were like on Bloom Burrow and they were squirrels. They're a puzzle club, Seema says. What? They volunteered to come because they wanted to break Suma's locks. I wonder if there will be any Suma's locks in Paradise. Pariel says. Just replicas, I suppose, Seema says. Is that any fun? It has to be fun. Alfrael says it's Paradise. He's right. One of the puzzlers bellows, praise him, and takes Sekar. The violet blip of the puzzlers collapse, smaller than an atom, plunges into the hall brighter than day. It must be something vital because the others scope at the metal with their armor's tidal grips, feeling for new weaknesses. The hatch pops out, spinning away on a jet of atmosphere, and plunges into the girded fog. Inside is a huge space, golden chandeliers like anemones of glass fiber gone dim, rows of pews wrapped around dry pools. It's a basilica, a house of the Sunstar faith. Someone howling starts burning it. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm just gonna go back and process this. Golden chandeliers. So obviously, religious. A lot of religious iconography, like a basilica, like it's like an ancient Roman public building, and obviously the clouds can take a lot of inspiration from Rome. I mean, so does Warhammer 40K. Okay, I swear I'm not saying that they only take reference from 40K or that everything is just a 40K reference. I'm just using that as a point of reference because I know they like sci-fi tropes. But 40K, the Imperium also takes a lot of inspiration from Rome. And here we have, especially the Emperor, the Regent Maximum Tamat the Fourth is a very Roman name. It's a basilica, a house of the Sunstar's fate. Someone howling starts burning it. Mission continue. So mission continues per real cause. Puzzle club downstrip. Find the blasphemy mechanisms and find out how they work and how long until the javelin can fire. Damage what you can. Others push up ship toward the bridge. So once again, this is a suicide mission, but they are emphasizing this is like a recon mission. Basically, like they're trying to find as much as they can while fucking things up. Good luck, Seema says. I'm going to kill a solar knight. Try to die usefully. I'm coming with you, Raphael says, and gets shot. This takes us down. Revision 10, Matador. They plunge down the Dawnspire's spine. They could free fall at 1 gravity, but Vondam sets the pace with thrusters. 2, 3, 4, crushing them with haste. So Vondam's the knight. This is the Palatine perspective. And I said this might be a part of Vondam's armor. I probably should check that any of the other characters have cards, but I kind of doubt it. But here's a picture of Vondam too. So I talked a bit about this art earlier, but it's very interesting how so he's literally framed as the most powerful here just because he's framed so he's probably standing on something, but but everyone's literally kneeling to give him stuff, and he's framed as being basically at his height, and there's almost a halo effect behind him, and also this cool hexagon technology effect. Night Luminary. This actually might not be him, but I mean it looks like him, but it might just. I mean it's the art they use for him, but he does have his own cards. It's not just that it's him. But it's interesting. I thank you that I do not shine alone. So very interesting that he, despite his position of power, he is clearly grateful for them in some way. So that's pretty cool. Where's a good Vondam? Also interesting that Vondam is white black in the fact when we're seeing a white black conflict. I assume the black is willingness to do whatever it takes for the Palatine. The Charizard's boundary glow. Light. The Charizard's boundary glows. Light is coming from out of the fast time inside, creating a violet haze like hawking radiation. The little fucking note. Someone's nerding out over this. Halia's armor warns her of a xenotic particle decay, which isn't much of a warning because it has no idea what the consequences might be. Like a squadron hawk, which is never found alone, the space around the black hole produces pairs of entangled particles. One hawk may, as it beckoned away from danger, escape the black hole, while the other is drawn and consumed. Though the black hole has paid to create both particles, it recovers only one, thus effectively losing the mass energy of the other. Because this allegory is often used to explain this process, the emitted particles are often known as Hawking radiation or Beacon Hawk radiation. Not 100% sure if I completely understand that, but steady, Vondam says. Steady, she's gonna die. Steady, she's gonna die. Vondam is prophesied to die, and she is his squire. If he's going to die, she must die first. She must put her body between him and fate. So we see an interesting parallel between what's her name, Halia, between Halia and Alpharay, where they're both afraid to die, but they're also at the same time they're conflicted because they both are really afraid to die, but they also really want to die, or at least die for the sake of somebody else. So I guess from Alpharay's perspective, he's not necessarily dying; he's probably going to the next eternity, but still. Below the horizon, nothing seems any different, except for a flood of time-sink errors on Coronet. Vondam breaks to a halt at a transverse causeway, one of the floors on the long skyscraper that is Dawnsire's Hall. Minutes have passed in here, minutes more before reinforcements reach us. By then, we'll be triumphant or dead. There's a thrill in his voice, the red joy of a man at arms. Don't count on tapping the Incoglas for power. We have what's inside our armor. Another knight comes through behind them. Walker, trailing Quinidad. Nods to Hylia, but Hylia doesn't know how to nod back. She seems to have forgotten how to do anything but think. We're going to die. Quinidad makes a crisp report. Phonon survey reports fighting. A company of garrison has engaged borders just abeam of the basilica. I see it, Vondam murmurs. They've just butchered the Aiuli foot soldiers. We're in beam range. Walker draws his blade. Vondam, Chas, both on that one. No, two split against armor. They're Morocco, not paladins. Two split down the veins. Ready? In 5, Walker aims his blade eater. Quinn, sink me. Hey, you'll clean my train, sir. Again, I have to wonder how much of if they're like, if it's just the armor, like it's like really good power armor, or if what they have is like they're kind of like modified humans, like you know, like a Spartan from Halo or like a Space Marine, like they're kind of like have genetic modifications, and that might be also what differentiates a knight from a paladin. But two knights plunge their bladiers into the deck and fire. The ship shrieks in pain. Their beams saw through the soft ally between the Dawnsire's cross-braced iron core skeleton. Elia is there to play Matador for Vondam, cleaning the burned metal and shock air from his beam line with nanosecond flashes of her own weapon. His deafness, if he so much as nicked a power bar or a data mirror, she will eat her own corpse. Her own cape, or not cape. Pretty strategy. Also, I guess that implies that their bladiers also function as weapons, because we saw someone use the bladier as a flash, but it seems also like bladiers can function as guns of sorts. When the light went out back home, some of the children tried to play curling on the reservoir ice. She is like the broom, his beam, the stones. Tally ho, Walker calls. He's not happy. Vondam's mildness is venomous. He hates their foe. The deck underneath them groans. Halia gets heavier, then lighter. Quinidad Startle falls to her knees. Growler, they're going to bring down the deck. Vondam shouts, keep fire. Get this one before she takes Sekar. I'm jitter hot. I'll tap out. Then tap out. The deck winds under their boots. The metal is shuddering at ultrasonic frequencies, stroked by some evil purr. Gravity waves pulsing at them from the monoliths below. The deck is vibrating so hard that if they were unarmored and the sound alone would kill them. That's pretty evocative imagery. A beautiful white twinkle, like stars in the disc winter sky, shines up from the deck. It's sonoluminescence. The gravity waves trap pockets of gas in the metal, creating bubbles that pop up and then collapse in just a few picoseconds. Truly tiny violent stars. So not great, but picoseconds is... A picosecond, abbreviated as PS, is a unit of time in the International System of Units. SI equal to 10 to the negative 12th power, or 1 out of 1 0.00001 trillionth of a second. Okay, well, they're very dangerous. Vondam Walker shouts, "It's going to go." Aye, Sir Vondam says. Oh, star. Oh, also, I'm not gonna say this every time there's a sun or star motif, but obviously I'll say when there's star and light motif. And this is how he dies, trying to bring one of the enemy down with him. She looks for his eyes, but she cannot see his face, of course, as he is helmed. Sir, she says, I promise before they get you, they'll have to go through. The deck goes out from under her. Yeah, well, about right. Before she falls, Halia does the only thing she can and must do. She throws her arms out to the night and broadcasts every bit of power she can to keep him alive. The air between them boils with her gift. She rides on an avalanche of tumbling plates down, bouncing off girders of core iron into water and powdered metal. Water, a bathhouse. She's in the tank for the bathhouse. Debris slams down on her, but contrary to what you see in movies, where people are always being impaled on random pipes, this feels like a nerd. Like they definitely got like a team of nerds like geek out over this. You can't break right ruled free company armor with random debris. Fair. She won't be impaled. Instead, she's going to die of diffuse hematoma from the beatings. I assume that's internal bleeding of some sort. A pool of mostly clotted blood that forms in an organ, tissue, or body. A hematoma usually caused by a broken blood vessel that is damaged by surgery or injury. Kind of internal bleeding. The falling metal beats her down into the bottom of the water tank. She grunts and groans and tries to think. Praise the downlight, mover of being. So right now it's interesting because we both have Aphrael and Hylia both seem like they're about to die. Like, it almost seems like there's no way out of this. We'll see if they survive, but it ain't looking good. Hylia plunges her blade ear into the water and ignites. The stream jet cuts through the soft wall of the water tank, and boiling water blasts her out like a cork onto the bathhouse floor. She skids in a plow of condensation into the wall of an empty sauna. She lets herself exactly one groan, rolls over. Where's Von Dam? She has to get back to him before enemy. Gliding toward her head first is a sideways thing, a shape so dark and drooling, layered in tongues of alabile rot that it can only be a monoist. Again, I love how they're describing each other like they describe each other like the worst thing in existence. Like when we get like the monoist point of view, it's like, oh, the sick out like not well the slick alabile armor, and it's like the alabile rots. Oh, what a disgusting, dirty looking thing. Not one of the grab kill paladins. She'd be dead already, stretched into a ribbon of Hylia or compressed into a little human meatball, but a fighter still, a militant zealot. So interesting. Once again, we have grab kill paladins, which again makes the factions parallel each other because they have like knights, and paladins are a type of knights, so it's like grab kill paladins and Sunstar knights. Hylia snaps her blade ear up and fires. The paste of powdered metal coating the blade ear explodes. And knocks Hylia on her ass. Again, is this the first time we've heard ass mentioned the Gathering be used like at all? Like last story is the first time we heard shit. This might be the first time we've heard ass. The monoist falls smoothly across the tile toward her, still head first, like it is plunging from the top of the shaft of Hylia's life, about to strike bottom. I don't think I need to click on all of these because I think they just take you to the next part. Revision 10, Aphrael dies unusefully. Two beams through the ceiling skewer Aphrael. They're cutting apart their own ship to get at him. So this is back when Vendom and the other knight were firing down, I suppose. And it would work. They'd kill him right here, except somehow someone throws a jar of arrow muck that explodes into a doughy mass around him. Still, the hot spots on his armor pulse and throb like a stove kiss. He squalls and tries to curve fall away, but the beams track him. What now? What does he do? He can feel the photon strikes queuing up in his armor's matrix like snake bikes. Stop, not yet. He can't die yet. So once again, we have this idea of like both Aphrael and Hylia are like, they're willing to die, but then the second they're actually facing death, they're like, actually, never mind. I don't want to die. Old Seaman pulls on space like a cat clawing its way up sheets, which is kind of funny because we know cats can web walk in this plane. Her armor bristles and stretches with microtide. Far above her, something rumbles and comes down like an avalanche. Falling hell, Seema, someone swears. Won't keep them long, Seema says without emotion. One of them tapped out, but he'll be back. We've got 7 minutes to kill. So that was the one that tapped out, yeah. Kill, yes. Is that what Aphrael wants? You chose to be here. You volunteered. You wanted this. Can you find the enemy and kill them? All I wanted was to die. Then die usefully. So, bro, just suicidal. A lot of suicidal people in this plane, I will say. If old Seema wanted to kill Solar Knights, then he will be her bait. Is this all the free company can muster? He bellows in the most guttural doxological massive he can manage. Empty church and a couple of flashlights. I thought this was your powerful weapon. I don't believe in you. And you're betraying my faith. Expects the beams to find him instantly. Instead, he hears the ongoing roar of the collapsing structure. Behold, I am. Come thy ruin and reckoning. I am Aphrael of Secundi, and against me your armor is cracked leather. Do we have like that full name on the card? I think it's just Aphrael on the card, but I believe it is just Aphrael. Whoops. We'll get back to that in a second. He should find a heatsink. A finger of steam leads him out of the basilica, down a dark narthex, into a bathhouse for a post-worship cleanup. Okay, so he's into the bathhouse with Halia. His armor warns him 6 minutes to Sherazade collapse. 6 minutes until he must take Sekar. So it's pretty interesting how consistently we're shown that also as far as time powers go. We haven't seen travel back in time, but they can slow down time. I'm not sure they can speed up time, but they can at least stop and pause things for a moment. Which also we know blue loves a fuck with time. No, it's just Aphrael Stone, so it's an Aphrael Dreaming Acolyte. His armor pulls his attention to a cloak smeared across the bathhouses, glaze and fractured floor. He pities the dead Sumas. The dead Sumas shoots him. There's a blue flash and a clap of steam. Nothing else happens. He's still alive. Fall, you, Aphrael jabbers and falls on the woman, tearing at the space between them with his armor's title claws. So I assume it's basically like a power claw, almost like from, again, using the Warhammer reference. I'm sorry I keep using Warhammer references, but it seems kind of like a power claw, except it's like using gravity, almost like for an extra strength. Shards of quartz tile tear free. Shards of quartz floor tile tear free and hurl into the Suma's back. But Aphrael has forgotten to pull at an angle to himself. All the tidal etc. debris misses the Sumas and slams into his own armor. He has shot himself in the face. Oh, this is beautiful. This is like that one meme. I was talking about this with some people other on a server. There's like that one meme where it's just like, God, everyone, look good. Thank God, everyone's so weird. Thank God I'm normal. And it feels like this is what it feels like. Like nobody here is fucking normal. He scrambles forward just like Nagushua. And just like Nagushua, he falls right onto the Sumas' weapon. Do we have title clause or anything named title in the set? Because I'm curious. But obviously, title is based on like the idea of like the moon, like how the moon gravity pulls on the ocean's tide. Again, we'll start reading. We'll come back to this. Revision 10, Brainwash. The first time someone punched Halia in the face, she was fighting over a box of fish flakes deep in the disc winter of her childhood. There, she learned that she wasn't ready to be punched in the face. She lost that fight in the fish flakes. I mean, are fish flakes worth fighting over? Maybe. It turns out, I wonder if they're literally fish flakes or they're fish-shaped flakes, like goldfish. It turns out that being title locked by a suit of Mono's combat armor is a lot like that. She doesn't panic. She's just bewildered. She trained for this, exactly this. Why doesn't she know what to do? Well, you know, experience and like reading. You can read about wrestling all you want, but it's different from experience. Like you can read about basketball all you want, but until you actually play basketball, it's going to be a bit different. It's like the knowledge is in a part of her brain she's misplaced. Halia, you fraud. Do something. Okay. Well, clearly everyone has an inferior complex on this plane. The enemy hurtles toward her like a knot of feral dog tongues, black and panting. Halia tries. I'm assuming what they're referring to with the dog tongues is that when we see the armors, the Alabile armor is usually composed of like different, like a bunch of smooth shapes coming together. That's a really interesting art. But like like this? Maybe this is a better example. Like it's usually like a bunch of like smooth shapes like wrapping around each other or like on top of each other. Maybe these aren't the best examples, but I'm sure whatever armor they're using is like looks more like almost like a bunch of dog tongues. Like if you just even at the grav ship, like the grav ship is a bunch of like smooth shapes that are like wrapped, that are like connected to each other or otherwise wrapped around each other. Halia tries with shaking hands to clear her weapon, get it back up, and beam the fanatic in the face. But the Monoliths, unlike you, who's totally not also a fanatic willing to die for their cause. But the Monoliths strew the space between them with debris and wet, swirling dust. Because I know it sounds like a way more badass from her perspective because she doesn't know he just blasted him himself in the fucking face. It's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put up debris and wet swirling dust so they can't see me like a smoke bomb. It's like, wow, this guy is good, but he just like fucking blasts himself in the face. She can't get a good beam form before they fall together, and the enormous condensed mass of Monolith fanatics smashes her down but not out. She switches her blade ear to a short axe mode and keeps it between them. So it looks like it's interesting. It's clearly a staff thing. It's interesting that it has like different modes, like axe, spear, like gunshot. I think I've talked about this art before, so I'm not sure if I really want to go over this. Here we go. Radiant Strike. Now we actually have a card for it though. Last time I did not. Radiant Strike, 3 generic, 1 white for 4 mana total. Instant. Destroy target artifact or tap creature. You gain 3 life. The light does not ask permission to cut through the darkness. Mentor ultimate to regen maximum Tammin the Fourth. So I'm not sure if the person in this armor is supposed to be Alfrael, but again, I think I've talked about this art before, so maybe I might repeat myself. I might miss some things I mentioned before. But obviously, there's a high amount of contrast here with like the dark black and purple armor with the with the like the gold of the cape and like the white more bright clothes, even though like the so there's more like black and silver. Like there's a lot of like white highlights and gold. Obviously, they want to convey it to white cards, so a lot of gold and whites. And interesting, it's interesting to how big this person is. Like they want to show basically like Halia in this frame is basically sort of an underdog. Like you see how massive this person is, how much space they take up. Like they basically almost cover the door frame. And then you have Halia, but even then she basically manages to win. And this and we see like the wound highlighted by like the cut, like it's literally glowing. It's interesting here because I don't know if this is the armor or something underneath the armor, but this looks almost like organic, like there's veins and stuff. We do know that the guy was just talking about how armor is like moving his blood for him, so it wouldn't surprise me. It could be either. This could be some sort of giant like like person in the armor, but I could also see it being like the armor itself, like basically like its life support systems almost. Interesting. We have like the door frame, and then also we have the light. We also have this interesting lighting effect on. We can see her, which is like highlighting almost like highlighting her silhouette, especially like here and around the head because they want you to like look towards her face. And it helps also bring more contrast to even like the dark armor. And it's interesting. Obviously, she's clearly the main character because even though we see this person, we don't see their face. So the point is like, oh, this is like the person you're supposed to be paying attention to. The blade area saws into the enemy's armor, edged with blue oxygen plasma. Well, it's orange here, not blue, but she hisses at prayer and pushes as hard as she can. The albino armor gives up strands of averted elements. Huge a blow towards jets erupt from the monolith's shoulder and back, and the heat of Sir Vondem's and Sir Walker's beams uncancelled. Her knight is here, with her helping her. This is the advantage they have over the monoliths. They aren't alone. So once again, not exactly true because this is a very biased perspective because clearly the monoliths are kind of working together, but it also at the same time it highlights the difference between the white philosophy and the black philosophy, the two factors happening here. Like, it's not the monoliths don't work together, but definitely more emphasis on the individual. And it's clear, and with the Palatinate, it's like more like working together. The monolith clamps his claws onto both sides of her helmet and accelerates her brain into the side of her skull. 95 gravity's left, right, left again. The concussion blanks her. Jesus Christ, that sounds like it should have killed her. For a few seconds, she's nowhere. Her body deprived of discipline and direction. Asked for guidance for several million years of evolution and more a recent palimpsest of germinal modifications. It discovers its final ungoverned rage against extinction. The brain has failed. Let the body fight. Her hands shove the bleeder into the monolith's armor and fires. That's revision 10, wet rat. Yeah. He has never killed before, but it is easy to think, why should this wretched wet volume person get to live when my sister has gone? What right do they have to exist in the cosmos without her, without me? So Aphrel bears down on the fallen Sumas and rattles her brain in her skull like a bruised pomegranate. Something bites into his chest. The Sumas blade split. I like how it's like the way it's framed is like something bites into his chest. Like is like, oh, it could be regret. Like sometimes your chest like feels tight. Or like that's used as a descriptor. Like it feels tight, or like I feel like a pain in my chest, but it's actually just her stabbing him. So it's been an interesting like kind of like play here, and it kind of is like an interesting ambiguity as to whether how bad he actually feels or how much of that is just being him being stabbed. The Sumas blade splits him open. The armor splutters and rots and releases the events of its own creation. His tidal claws fail. The armor unwraps from his body. No, it's not fair. He was winning. He was going to live. As again. Not wanting to die. As if to demonstrate unfairness, the universe doubles the odds against him. A spear of light explodes through his brow. The streak raises a jet of plasma off the failed armor, and the recoil blasts from him into the corner of the bathhouse. Get off her, you polyp. The Sunstar at night commands. Halia, concussion drill. What's up? Is like a pop like an actual word? Should I know what that is? Tumors that grow out of the mucus lining inside your hollow organs. Ugh. Sir, was the wet mass on the floor. Concussed. Sure, concussed. Probably not doing well. One of the tenets of the true faith is that monoism truly, inevitably, and provably controls the future. All mass will collapse into black holes. All will join the sacred void. The enemy's bright sum will eventually be reduced to zero. But it's also interesting because in the last main story, Halia brought up like, well, there's more than one thought to how like the universe will play out. Because the angel was given like the quantum prediction, and they're like, well, everyone thinks they have the future. But it gives a little comfort when the enemy is strong now. All there is for Aphrel is Sekar and the next Trinity and Raphaela. Why doesn't he do it? Why can't he just do it? You called out a challenge, Aphrel of Sukundi, the Sunstar Knight barks. I am Sir Vondem of the Sunstar Free Company. I accept your old Seema pounces. She hurtles out of the turbulence of the boiled water tank like a comet coming to end a whole geological age. The knight's later blasts a grid of light through the fog, so it catches and tracks the new contact. But the grid blisters and warps around Seema. Coming back falls. Okay, because gravity, so it's warping the light. So basically, like, it seems like they're trying to like scan it, and then it's being warped by the gravity. The knight's retaliatory snapshot goes wide. No, the wretch on the floor shrieks. Seema swings a I'm never gonna pronounce this right. Kano diamond. Is this like an actual word I can just like look up? What is this? I don't know how to pronounce that. Kano diamond, the crown of the knight's helm. I forgot to post that I'm streaming. wait, hold on. I forgot to post that I'm streaming on Google itself. I mean YouTube. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Swings at Caroline for the crown, the king's helm, the knight's helm. She's going to do the move. You've seen it 1,000 times in your favorite childhood dynamation. Dynamation, is that like a? It sounds like some sort of show almost. Okay, it's So it was a 3D computer graphics particle generated program. So it's basically so it's like 3D. Interesting. Anyway, she's going to slap the mine on him and hurdle past, and he'll say, "You missed, you polyp," and she'll say, "Did I?" And he'll say, "Huh," and his head will explode. That's a piece of the North Star reference. You're already dead. Nani head explodes. Should I pull it up? It's also like just a common trope, like especially like samurai stuff, like the idea that you make a move or slash and the person doesn't like clash until after. So I guess this is what she's imagining. If my computer will load. I don't know what's the formatting of this YouTube thing, but hello? Hello, computer. The best quality, but whatever. So anyway, it feels like a very specific reference, especially since this guy's head clearly is exploding in that frame. So it feels like less of a general reference because it is a common like trope, but I feel like it's very specifically it's a specific next to the 4-star reference. But old Seema, for all her age, for all her quiet mask, is just a Morocco, just a deleter, an eraser, a killer. She doesn't fight by a code of honor. Also, once again, black alignment, like the idea of like there is no objective morality, do whatever it takes to win. You'd think that would be an advantage. Honor, how silly. Yeah, again, this is a very like black aligned outlook of things. Like honor, there's no objective morality, there's no objective honor. You can abide by it if you want, but you should do whatever it takes to win, basically. Because like it's just a bunch of rules that people in power are putting to keep you down, or you just placing on yourself for no reason. But if you're going to fight by code of honor, you need to be absolutely platinum grade certain that you can crush anyone who breaks the code. Again, there's also another very black outlook on things where it's like you can't just appeal to honor. You have to have the power to actually back it up. Because realistically, someone's gonna break it. Like who's gonna stop them? So this is a very black line, like, kind of like throw your weight around. Like if you want something, you have to be able to throw your weight around. You need to say fight the way we want, or we'll wipe you out so fast. You could land an innovator on your grave. So once again, this feels very like a black line, like black philosophy. The knight crossfires his twin blades into the floor. A jet of water ally plasma explodes like a solar. This is a very interesting. I'd love to see this animated. I said this before, but I'd love to see wizards like maybe pick like a few like random like of the short story like stories we've been getting for each of the sets, and maybe just animate those or something. The knight crossfires his twin blades to the floor. A jet of water alloy plasma explodes like a solar flare. Purple stained green with hot titanium. I wonder if that's actually what it looks like when it's plasma. Anyway, the knight twists the pulse of the sunfire down a magnetic field and blasts Seema askew. His helmet is blind, reflected is a blind reflective dome. But Aphrael knows in his gut that Vondem is grinning. Sir Vondem likes to fight. He likes to kill, which is by Vondem's own admission. We know that's true. He does say he likes to fight, but he feels conflicted because he's like, yeah, I like battle, but also like battle is like a grim necessity at the same time. You know, especially likes to kill his enemies so they can't go to paradise. And we're okay. So that's where also I disagree. So this is once again we're having a good view of how the factions view each other and how they're biased with each other. Where it's like, oh, he's just doing it so they can't go to fucking paradise to spite you. And it's like, well, he's doing it because you fucking jumped on a ship and they want to. And from their perspective, they have a different idea of what paradise is. So they're not just trying to stop you from going to paradise, right? So once again, an interesting idea of like interesting explanation of like empathy and like how similar like religions and faiths can be, especially since what Sir Vondem says about like he says where like the point of faith is to give everyone like closure, and like the idea of like feeling like everything will work out applies to both factions. So we constantly see like these parallels between the two factions, even though they're both white and black, about like why the religion exists and like how they view each other. Like they both demonize each other. They both view each other as like evil, but at the same time they both have like similar reasons for turning to the religion, despite like the difference in color philosophy and what the religions say they are. Simma's armor stretches like taffy as she curls herself into an orbit around the night. She punches a shock front out of the bathhouse fog. A tail of shattered porcelain like tail shatters in her wake. Aphrael tries to get up to help, but his damn armor takes Sakar. Let the singularity pearl on your brow free. You will go directly into it and become part of the next journey. You will hear the theorem unending and final song. So once again, they have their own theorem. Like the Palatinate have like their theory about how the universe should work, and then they have their own like supposedly mathematical theorem in full. And when you arrive in the world to come, you will be welcome to an eternity of satisfaction and challenge in this paradise that owes a small but vital part of its existence to you. Follow her into eternity. Take Sakar, but maybe there is no eternity. Maybe there is nothing. So doubt. Maybe she's burning on the edge of Zathera forever. So like again, I'm not saying this. So it's important to point out that this is like Aphrael's own doubts, but there's a lot of ambiguity about which religion is right or wrong, because I have to question both. This goes for both religions, both the Palatinate and the Monos, which is like, is what they're saying true, or is it like a misunderstanding of like some sort of phenomenon within the universe in both cases, or is one right and is one wrong, or is the follower real, etc. Because especially in Magic the Gathering, it becomes a lot harder to discern like what's like real and what's not, especially when Magic already exists. And MTG has played around with the idea of both religions being fake and religions just being like kind of real, but like they're basically like a grain of truth, but like it's kind of been misinterpreted. Like it's like on Zendikar with the Eldrazi, like they have to believe in the gods. It's kind of been misinterpreted over time. So I'm kind of curious to see, like, I doubt we're gonna get an answer in this specific set, because I'm sure we'll go back to Edge of Eternities at some point. But I'm very curious to see how much is true, how much is wrong, etc., etc. I mean, they're being pretty even about the factions in their place, about and who's good, who's evil. Wait, hold on. I'm getting a call. Give me a second. Now you can hear me talk to my mom. Hello? Okay, I'm in the middle of streaming. I'll be down in a moment. Anyway, so I really doubt it's gonna be as simple as, oh, the Monoists are correct, or oh, the Sumists are correct, and the other one is wrong, because that just feels like kind of like a cop out, especially after all this exploration about like how it seems like neither one's really better than the other, and they all have their own reasons for doing something. There's no like pure evil one. The lesser Sumist grab at his ankle. He kicks her in the face. She gags at breakfast, but doesn't let go of his ankle. She's utterly pathetic. A burned rat splattered on powdered metal and molten quartz, just gray with it. But oh, him! Look how her teeth flash. Look how she snarls against death. I like how it's interesting that he kind of sees something like inspirational in her almost. Afro stares at her as he kicks her in the face over and over. He's also wearing like the fucking super suit. This is very painful for her. Wrapped. How can she want so terribly live? Okay, here's the funny thing. We know she doesn't want to live. She's trying to kill herself. You know, she wants to die before her night dies, because she feels like if she isn't pushing herself to, like, if she isn't willing to die for her night, she's failed. So that's really funny. It's really funny how this looks like from the perspective of the other person. They're like, oh, this person's so badass. They like fucking smoke bombs and fucking they want to like they're fighting against death. But like, oh no, they're both just suicidal people, just booking it to the end. How can she so terribly to live? Is it sheer hate that drives her? The need to get at him and purge him from existence? Oh, is it because there's no singularity pearl in her armor waiting to swallow her up and take her to paradise? or does she know something about life that he doesn't? So once again, just like she was questioning about like maybe the Monos knows something that we don't. We have a Monos going like maybe the Palatinate, maybe they know something that we don't or haven't considered. And holy shit, there's a lot of story. Anyway, let's keep going. The Monos is losing. Halia can tell. She has her space bending tricks, but the Monos are too fond of lazy free trajectories, which are no matter how you mix them up, predictable. The Monos has entropy and momentum on her side. Those slow inevitable powers, but Sir Vundam has that which changes those things. Space is empty and black and empty. Space is black and empty and dead. But a fusion engine is white hot. So is a star. White is the color of thrust. Sir Vundam is in control of his fight. So I think I've already talked about this. We also have already got the card for Vundam here. White black. Interesting that he's white black in this situation too, especially since they're fighting a black faction and really amping up like the white versus black conflict in this set. But here we got Sunstar Exemplar. So come back to that, or we'll wait for it. One of the two. We'll just read a little bit, and then we'll come back to that. All Halia can do is hold his other Monos back from interfering. She thinks she has brain damage. You fucking think your brain's got fucking rattled around like a fucking ping pong ball in your fucking head. But she holds on to the Mono's ankle. With his armor failed, he's merely a man stomping on her. Okay, so his armor has failed. Stomping on her face. She just has to hold him back. Make the difference. Grow the sum. So once again, same philosophy. Like if I just did one thing, I add just a little bit to the great the what comes after the singularity or the great sum. So Vundam Knight Exemplar. This art's very interesting. I already talked about it. It's almost like gives me almost like medieval art vibes, like the light shining down, like it's almost holy golden light shining down, and it was just strong. So here we can almost see it's almost like a ray of hope, even if you want to. But I think the main point is that also dual wielding swords. I think the main point is that it shows like this person in a position of power, like they're the main focus. They're in this position of power. It's almost like, and usually when we see cards, it's usually from the perspective of the faction that they come from. So a lot of the Palatinate cards are gonna be like almost like holy and divine looking, because that's how the Palatinate views them, like these holy divine figures. And here we have like all these people in this armor. They're in black and purple armor, so they're black line, and we have like this white and black, but white aligned person. Interesting how that also like conveys like almost the alignment with like the entire card art, because like the card represents like a black and white alignment, and here we have, even though these are like the enemies, they're black aligned, and then we have this one white and black line person here. But obviously we can see his face, so he's the main focus, and then we have like, and again we're showing this idea of like power and status by putting him above, like the closest that comes to above is this guy. Like these people are like in power armor presumably, so they're kind of like bulked up, but even then he's like above them, like he's metaphorically above them, so it's represented by literally putting him above them and standing above them, like he's in a position of power. And I have to point out that like when I talk about like position of power, it doesn't necessarily have to do with like literal height, but usually in art, even if it's like a short character, what they do is they put him like on like a pedestal or some sort of like mound. Like it seems like he's probably standing on somebody's body potentially, to like put them up and make them seem more important or powerful. And here they're like all in dark. It's like him fighting against like the dark tide. Haha, dark tide reference. And here we can't see their face, so it's like in a way in this art they're dehumanized in a way, because like this is the person, and then these people almost dehumanize as like a bunch of like foes coming at him. And once again, Vigilance Menace. I mean, we do see him being pretty menacing in the story, because I feel scared of Vigilance, because like he's just a really good fighter. Whenever another creature you control dies or is put into exile, put a +1/+1 counter on Sir Vundam, and you gain 1 life. When Sir Vundam dies or is put into exile while his power is 4 or greater, destroy up to 1 target below my premise. So it's pretty interesting flavor wise, because Sir Vundam, a big part of his story right now is that one of the angels basically predicted he would die, and they said basically, oh, you can't avoid it. So it's interesting that when he's at his most powerful, when his power is exceeded 4, you want to kill him, or you're at least okay with letting him die. And once you let him die, it takes down one target non-land permanent with him. And also, it seems to care about other creatures dying, which could be, you could interpret it as almost like more like Predator, like taking advantage of the deaths of your allies. But I at least see it, especially with this specific characters, of the idea that like watching people die around him makes them fight harder or better, right? Like emotionally. And also you gain 1 life. Make sure the future has Sir Vundam in it. So just like she wants to save Sir Vundam, Alfred also wants to save his sister and prevent her from getting sacrifice them to the Super Void, even though Sir Vondam and both Aphrael's sister Raphael, they were both okay with dying. It was their choice to make. But both of these people are basically trying to like stop them from doing it. And they have their own reasons for doing so. Described as like a silverfish to escape, kicking at her head, at her brow, at the Gladiator, smashing its haft against her head. A lot of effort put into a prolonged suicide. He came here to die. Why can't he just give up? Take Sekar. Dying. And I'm hiccuping. All she has to do is keep her gauntlet wrapped around his ankle. There's a dark war. Also interesting that she also was like, man, this guy's really fighting really hard. He should just die. And then he's like, wow, she keeps fighting so hard. Why doesn't she die? Like, they're both suicidal. They both want to die. But at the same time, there's like a conflict in their heads where they both say that, but when confronted with the actual death, they don't pull the trigger. There was a dark roar. There was a blast of light. The sucking tidal presence of the Monolith fighter snaps off, and something massive strikes the deck. Flicker's violet vanishes. Helia suffers through a blast of hot steam. Vondam has killed the main enemy. They've won. Her fingers relax. No, she grunts and grabs for the lesser Monolith's foot, but he slipped out of her grip, climbed right out of his ruined armor. He is a binary ghoul of a man, every part of him pale or black. She switches her Gladiator after him, but she's seeing double and gets the wrong one. Okay. Yeah, she's gonna need some intensive care for this. Yield, Sir Vondam calls. You're beaten. No, sir. Don't do that. He'll be dead in 5 minutes, and he knows it. He won't yield. He won't. He'll do something fantastically cruel. I'm going to live, the Monolith cries. He sounds mad. He's like, bro, you're about to fucking plummet into the nearest wall. Yes, Vondam shouts through the fog. His lidar is all askew, damaged in the battle. I assume that's his cloth. He can't tell where the Monolith is, but he's trying to burn the fog away. But his light is dim and flickering, tapped out. You can live. We can put you in stasis cask. We can cancel your debt velocity and save your life. I'm going to live. Sir Vondam extends a hand to him. Come then, choose life. Helia's doubled up vision finally focuses on the Monolith. She's kneeling over his armor, grasping, digging. He rears back in triumph, something in his hand. So interesting that that Vondam, despite all his like bad bloodlust and cruelty, he does reach out a helping hand. Also, didn't I pull up Aphrael? Okay, hold on. So we do have we have 2 cards for Aphrael showing like almost like his progression to the story. Alpha. There we go. I think it's interesting just how like mad each of the factions sound towards each other. They both sound like they're like not completely placed in reality, or like they're willing to die for a weird cause. But again, I think it's an important parallel. So here interesting because here he's clearly like there's a lot more blue because it's a blue-black card, and here it's like mostly just black and purple because it's a black card. I've already talked about this too much, so I'm not going to dwell on it. But it's interesting how like circular this is. I don't know if this is the beat or something, but it's interesting how like circular this is. Like it's all warping around this point and then circling around it. It also adds like a nice frame for you to like focus on, like, oh, this is Aphrael, like this is what you want to focus on. And here's like all this stuff like breaking around them, like the influence of gravity. All things in, I'd rather embrace the truth than the fantasy of eternal light. So this is what he has in. Sir, Halia screams, the Monolith throws. The singularity bead flashes violet. The collapse takes the Monolith's right. So yeah, so it's important to point out that from the Monolith's perspective, when he says he wants to live, he is living. Because he is going to the eternity after. So I guess he's not dying if he truly believes in the cause, but he was dying himself. Sir, the Monolith throws. The singularity bead flashes violet. The collapse takes the Monolith's right hand with it, and he screams in agony, but it's done. He's done it. He's thrown away his Sekar. The newborn microvade hurtles across the chamber toward the wall, penetrating all that sacred gold and iron like so much rotten fruit. Along the way, goes directly through Sir Vondam's head. Oh. Rip. Mercy. Poor Halia. Aphrael chose to live. He threw away his plummet, his way to immortality, to kill his foe and live a minute longer. Does he deserve to die for it? He can't escape. The Free Knights Company... Well, a minute longer, but we know you're guaranteed to die. So he can't escape. The Free Knights Company will take him, or the Charizard will collapse and splatter him into human salsa. But it was a vicious cycle, wasn't it? Another minute of life, weighed against the promise of eternal death, and reunion with his sister, and he chose life. Give him a flagon of eternity. So I guess, even though I just said, like, from their perspective, it is life. I guess he's still in doubt about that. Give him a flag of eternity and a thimble of life, and he'll drain the thimble to the least. The man who knows what he wants to live. So I ask you, will you? Can you grant Aphrael mercy? I'll take care of the rest. Changes to the past required to make this mercy possible. But will you grant him a second chance to go on to explore his universe, to learn why he thinks life is worth living? Or is he an enemy of life? Pass judgment, but know that in my estimation, there's only one right choice. Some things can only be told in pairs. Two things made to annihilate each other, but the trick only works if they're meant to annihilate and don't. Okay, so this is a bit of like metatextual, like stepping a bit back. And this is referring to Hylia and Aphrael, because they're supposed to be enemies. They're supposed to kill each other. But despite all that, they don't. And I guess the idea is not just asking us if we'll pass judgment, but it's like I don't think Hylia is literally hearing this voice. But I guess I'll also question, like, will Hylia pass judgment and then not kill him? But also something's told in pairs, just like these stories are told in pairs, with Aphrael and Hylia being a pair. No mercy. Are you cold? Do you just not like the boy, or is your heart beating in times without Hylia's? Well, our time together must end now. Events will proceed without Aphrael, but a moment will come when armies converge upon me, and without Aphrael, without the library possibly archived in his weird word, in the past that splits in twain, so that one half plummets and the other survives, I will be taken. The feckless Drix will have me. Okay, so that's pretty interesting, because we know the Drix seem like they're looking for Eldrazi stuff, so I don't know if the voice we're hearing is supposed to be Eldrazi shit or something else. Or maybe the Drix just like come to stop certain like temporal anomalies. This does not suit me. So there does not belong to the Drix. It does not belong to the Pinnacle host. It belongs to no one but the one called I. Ominous. So there, true master loves me, as it loves all the parts of itself, and very soon it will return to claim those scattered parts. You have failed me, but I will grant you another chance. Is this the Faller? Maybe, I'm not 100% sure. Revision 11. The Captain's Grace. If sadly it could be the Faller. Aphrael stares in giddy disbelief as Sir Vondam, Solar Knight of the Free Company, topples like a drunk. He killed a Solar Knight. He killed a Solar Knight. He's got to live. He's got to get back to the monastery and tell everyone. No one will believe him. Proper credit to Sima. She did the hard work, but maybe this is why he's here. Why he was here. Why he chose not to take Sekar. Maybe this is a free path to destiny. He will go home the slayer of a Solar Knight. So slaying a Solar Knight's a very big deal. Again, it makes me wonder, like, is it just the armor, or is it like, because I wouldn't be surprised if Solar Knights were also like modified humans, like super soldiers. He lost his hand. It doesn't hurt at all. The wet rat Sumas wants to kill him bad, but she's got a concussion. He runs. He's got 3 minutes before the Charizard collapse, and he splatters. Maybe he can cancel his velocity some other way. Maybe he can steal a ship, set the autopilot to thrust backward towards Susur Secundi and tell it to accelerate to 30 kilometers a second. Maybe he can. The only way I can see this maybe working is if this wouldn't work because he doesn't have a suit. But like if he had a suit that could withstand space, is to jump out so that way when you're accelerating, you don't hit something. You can jump out of the void of space potentially, but I don't think that's gonna work. He slams face first into another Solar Knight. Aphrael gapes, and then the shining form races his vision. A microwave field cooks him into a shriek of agony. A snap of electricity sends all his muscle into agonizing spasm, tearing open his stubbed right arm. He shrieks like a choked pig as the knight hauls him close. How long does he have, Quinn? 4 minutes 40 seconds, sir. I want a prisoner. Can we get anyone in here to save him? We're still on the Charizard. I don't know if the reinforcements will reach us. And this is kind of funny because it does remind me of like the white card, like Stasis Field or something, which there might be like a stasis kind of card and something like based off that in the set. Because we do have Swear's Light Braid, Seam Rip, Scout for Survivors, Radiant Strike, Pinnacle Storage, and we have Pinnacle Storage, Star Cage, but that's the Pinnacle. That's not Palatinate. It is just kind of funny because white does have a lot of cards that just exile stuff, like Banishing Light, like exile stuff, and then you can get it back if you open it up or let them out. I want a prisoner. Can anyone here save him? We're still in the Charizard. I don't know if reinforcements will reach us. Damn, what about the Esteli? So the angel. Come at the speed of light, sir, but they don't like to cross event horizons. So basically there's some weird gravity shit happening, and even though you can move at the speed of light, it's gonna warp you if you try. And also the Esteli are presumably made of like light, it seems like. Could be a bit of plasma, but it seems like completely light in my estimation. So running into gravity as a light-based being does not seem pleasant. Or at least like certain types of gravity, like at least with monoliths warping gravity like that. We have to find a way to get him into hard light and crystallize him. I want Enlight to flush out every secret he knows. They come in at 30 kbs, sir. I don't know if hard light can take that. Sir, may I go to Hylia? Give her a minute, Quinn. She needs to see there's nothing she can do. So it's interesting that this knight it's not that she's like, oh, she needs to process. It's like she needs to basically learn a hard lesson. Is that when the night, if the angel says that some shit's about to happen, it's about to happen, and you can't fight that. Um, 4 minutes, Raphael thinks. All I ever wanted was to end my life by plummeting into a black hole. At the last moment, I flinched. I'm a coward. For what? 4 more minutes? Do I really think Raphael is trapped down there on the edge of eternity, burning? It was a bad dream. It was a bad dream. Then why did you flinch? His vision fades back in. He screws up his face to snarl. Then once to cut his head open, they can hear what's in his head. Then he smells ozone. He licks his lip, sniffs, shakes his head. He is crackling thirsty. No matter where he looks, there's nothing but light, ozone, and warmth. What's your name? The light asks him. I have 4 minutes left to live, he says. He sounds pathetic. He is pathetic. He is going to die, and he won't go up to the next eternity. So the fact that he's calling Halia so pathetic, like a wet rat, also might point to maybe him projecting a little bit. Not now, not for billions and billions of years. Not until the whole universe is scooped up and its long scattered informatic remnants are finally swallowed by the super void. And will that really be him? Will the truth, like basically the chip of Theseus, like if you take every part and replace it, is that really him? Will the truth face still be there? Concatenating super voids, making sure that they all go to the next eternity together. He's never going to see Rafaela again. For a moment's cowardice, he surrendered his eternal life. Hello, 4 minutes to live, the light says. My name is Slats. I'm the captain of this instrument and the coronal of the faithful aboard. You're an Esteli, a traitor's angel, a twin species to the Susarians who fought the truth face. So Susarians are the vampires. They're categorized as vampires. So they're the first one to convert to the faith. The first one who saw the Father's message. But the Susarians, they are typed as a vampire. So I guess they're being framed as a counterpoint. I think unlike some of the other people, I think they just naturally have gravity powers. I think gravity magic or technology is thing that people have to actually learn and use most of the time. But it seems like the Susarians seem like they just have it. So yeah, here's a Susarian. They're vampires. They're vampires. So this vampire is also Susarian, and they're very big. So even though the armor's kind of clunky, I presume that they could actually just be that massive. And it seems like they have maybe some sort of like ability to like feed on like energy or gravity of some sort potentially, but we'll see. Trace Angel twins, and also it's an interesting conflict because if the Susarians are vampires and they feed on like light or energy or something, it would be interesting if like they conflict with the angels who are made of light. It's twin species of Susarians who found the truth face. Also, the angels, the Esteli we know, are created from like every time they destroy a star, or every time they collapse a star, make it into a super void, or a star dies, and that's where the Esteli come from. So, ironically, by progressing with their work, the Monos are making more Esteli. Not that the Esteli wouldn't just be there anyway, as long as stars go through their natural life cycle. But every time they basically star. Hold on, let me just make sure, because Esteli, I'm gonna make sure it's like stars in general, not just like supernovas or something. Because I don't know if they're just born from supernovas in particular. The Esteli, yeah, specifically they're consumed by super voids. So the more the Monos keep doing what they're doing, even if they think it's the right thing, the more Esteli they're gonna get, and the more Esteli they have to fight against. And we know the Esteli are also the reason the Sumas exists, because Esteli basically started the faith, or at least some of them did. I'm not sure if all of them are privy to it. I am. Maybe this is what it feels like when you get your head cut open. What are you doing to me? Why am I here? You struck a dead a man who was my friend. I foresaw this. I want to know why. It was war. It wasn't. The others with you fought a war. They're all dead now, consumed by their own despair. They achieved nothing. My sister is in there, he says. In Sothera, you destroy her. You destroy everything in the system just to undo an act of grace. You could be with her now, but why didn't you take? Why? But you didn't take Sakar. Why? Because he wants to live. He wants to be in this universe with its colors and its lights and its feelings and its mysteries, not any other. He's born under these stars. He's not done with them. I want to live, he chokes. I just want to live, but I want it to be me who lives. Don't burn me hollow. Don't shoot leaders into my head and tell I'm someone else. I know what you do to prisoners. Don't do it to me. Holy shit, that is... Okay, it seems like they basically have some, like, lobotomy. Like, it seems like they especially I don't know if it's true. It could be exaggeration, but it seems like they might be lobotomizing prisoners so they turn them over a new leaf. Well, like lasers. Prove it. Prove what? Prove you want to live. Haven't I? I was given the chance to fall. I was offered the plummet and I refused. I'm a coward. I can't go back. Even if I went now, even if I fell to the next eternity, what would they think of me? What would Rafaela say when she had the strength to go and failed? And he failed. Very well, the light says, I sentence you to live. He makes a weak, confused sound. He can hear the wet rat woman working at her fallen knight's armor. Francis is saying what's left of his brain. I killed your friend. You did, but in killing him, you were converted. You see that life now, in this bright span of energy at the beginning of time, is worth more than a long, slow death. Sir Von Dam died to show you this truth. I cannot waste that sacrifice. I sentence you to live. It's a very interesting take by the angel, and obviously could be a bit of white philosophy here because the idea of like sacrificing yourself for a greater good or like to convert other people almost. And this idea of maybe forgiveness and conversion. For 4 minutes, he says, for 4 minutes I am then I'm a smear. Perhaps even now my ship is turning towards Sukundi to deliver retaliation. For a few minutes, the long axis of the Dawn Star will be pointed back the way you came. Go down the elevator shaft to the nearest flight deck. It is inside your Charizard. You will find a Hope Light War Maker waiting for you. Take it and go. Live. Increase the sum. Okay, so there might be a bit more going on here because we know that according to the Planeswalker's Guide, the angels seem to have like this. They seem capable of quantum computation of some sort, which is probably also part of where the idea of the Sumus' sum comes from. Is like this high speed mass calculation. And we know the Sumas can sometimes do weird shit under the name of like, oh, it's for the greater good, it's for the greater sum. So sometimes that can be like, oh, we gotta kill you because we need to do it for the sum. But it seems like it can also be like, we gotta let you live for the sum. So it seems like the knight the angel here might have potentially seen Asfrael do something, or just assume, or if he has the feeling that Asfrael like will increase the sum somehow. So that's pretty interesting. You can't believe this. He's going to say this is a trick, but what does it matter if it is? It's a chance, and yes, he wants to live. I can't fly your ships. Also, I guess the idea is also from the angel's perspective, like, oh, so interesting. So you want to kill a star, but now you want to live, so now you understand the value of like maybe not killing every star. But again, we also get a bit of the mono's perspective, or from their perspective, the star's about to go supernova anyway, so they save the day. But I'm gonna try to focus here. I can't fly your ships, he says, and I've only got one hand. What if I start bleeding out? 3 minutes to live, the light says. You're very hung up on practicalities for a man who was just given a miracle. I mean, but he's got a point. Takes him 2 of his remaining minutes to scramble down a spiraling energy ramp to a flight deck. The lights are out. The hatches are dog shut. He has to open them with one arm, and someone's following him. Boots glide down the corkscrew ramp in pursuit, but he makes it to the hatch labeled Deck 18 Ready Flight, Iliois Ilampi. Soft green emergency lights bathe the shapes inside. Oh, enemy shapes, but what shapes? 4 War Makers armed and field, waiting for the pilots. They're going to live. They are alive, prowling with power, ready to fly. I wonder if the do we get a War Maker card? Is that like a specific ship we've gotten? Well, yeah, we have a Cav gunship, which is a War Maker gunship, which seems to be using robots, interestingly. Armed and field waiting for the pilots. They're alive. They're with power, ready to fly. But they're all plunged into a mess of cables. How is he going to get all the cables off in 1 minute? It's hopeless, and there's blood coming out of his stump now. He's jarred the cauterized flesh open, and it started to pump. You should sit down. You should rest a little. No, he smashes his stumped arm into the bulkhead, and howling in anguish, dripping blood, he sprints for the nearest War Makers. He can't have any more than 40 seconds left. Captain's compliments, the flighter says. A hatch opens, a ladder falls, and flashes rigid. He's interesting. It's like a high tech technology. Seems like it's flexible and it turns rigid. He swarms up inside and slams onto the pilot's cradle. Connectors for a flight suit probe at him and withdrawn disappointment. Supportive sacks swell to cushion his body. So I don't know if the ship has an AI. I assume it's just a bit of like anthropomorphism, which is like just giving like inanimate objects like some like traits. Like it's just people like sometimes just give traits like, oh, it growled in like pain. Like the ship, I don't think it's really growling in pain. I think it's just like the metal bending. So I wonder how much of this is like well, I mean, even as an AI, it's probably not one of the sentient ones. So I guess it's just like a bit of like a little bit of like extra like interesting writing fluff. Get me out of here, Afrael pants. 30 seconds. Go now. Go. The flyer expels its umbilical cables. There is a hum of rising activity all around it, but a pause. Passkey not found, the flyer says suspiciously. Verify the code of the day for emergency launch. The code of the day? The wise luminous captain, Steli captain. The wise. I like how the framework changed from like a horrifying like twin creature of the Sukundi to like the wise luminous Steli captain chose to spare his life. Send him all this way and forgot to give him the code. Stand down, a woman screamed outside. Abort launch. Day code 4454. No, Afrael cards. Launch. Emergency launch. Day code 4454. You just copied our code, the fighter says. Well, look, you asked for the day code. Of course I did. It's the day code. I don't have my own damn day code. The captain didn't give me one. Consulting standing orders, the fighter says. No clear resolution. Captain's judgment prevails. Stand by. Human hands scrabble out the hatch. 15 seconds until he hits the side of the cockpit and becomes a physics problem. The Warmaker slides forward on its cradle through a grid of laser light, through fields that separate ionized air from hard vacuum. The fighter drops stern first into free fall, plummeting down the empty shaft of the Dawnsire's stern to prow flight rail. 10 seconds. The fighter has a Okay, do we have like a fighter card? Sorry, I'm being distracted. Do we have like a fighter card? Because I do think we have like a Palatinate fighter or something. The fighter has to have a grid of hard light to protect the pilot. The fighter has to have a grid of hard light to protect the pilot from acceleration. He needs to reach 30 kilometers a second in 10 seconds. That means 3 kilometers per second of acceleration. Can hard light take that? Am I going to die? He asked the fighter. Yes, the device says. So there is an AI in there. I don't know if it's one of the sentient ones though. Let me check. I don't remember if Vi is the term for a sentient one or a non-sentient one. Most of our yeah, so it's one of the non-sentient ones. Here we have Starfighter pilot, which might give you an idea what it looks like. Can I avoid it? Unknown, the device says. Permanent immortality of the human body is beyond the reach of science. Regarding science, questions regarding immortality of the spirit should be redirected to your coronal. Stand by for vitrification. I think vitrification is like hardening or something. This is the same vibe as like, why are we here? Why are we here? Or is this just a god? And it's like, why are we here in this canyon? Am I gonna die? You know, what even is death? I meant, why am I gonna die in this ship? Full or partial transformation of a substance into glass. Oh, interesting. A hard light field seizes every atom in Afrail's body and converts him very briefly into a uniform crystal. Not quite living diamond, but hard enough. He doesn't even get to feel it when the launch tubes fire. When the Warmaker's plasma magnet catches the shot and hurls him away at a stately 2,500 gravities. Revision 11. Anstruth. A whole life has just turned off. Her life as Sir Vendum's pupil. Her sent to knighthood under his tutelage. Decades of future just darkened. Curtains. Exit that Hylia. Enter this Hylia. Hylia, who wasn't quick or strong or sure enough to save her knight. Okay, everyone here needs therapy. The Hylia who allowed a pathetic fallen foe to throw his suicide through Vendum's skull. Vendum made his choice. Vendum walked up there and offered a hand. So, if the sum grows because I died today, my death was worthy. Would it grow the sum to find the monolith and burn his face to the skull? He killed Sir Vendum because she was weak and she has to make it right. There has to be some way to make it right, to make it less wrong. She closes her teeth and holds her jaw rigid and howls. It comes out like a wheeze. She takes 3 steps back, 3 steps toward the launch tube as if to hurl herself inside, and then spins and screams aloud, "Damn it, damn it!" Halia, Quinidad stirs nervously. The other squire stands by the hatch of the emergency ramp. She looks small and tired. What? Halia says at a loss for how to behave like a human. You'd better come. You better see. See what? Come where? She's being cruel. Yes, I'm sorry. If I have to be around people, I'll have to be. She'll have to listen to them say, there was nothing you could do, even though there was. She just failed to do it. So once again, we have a bit of parallel between her and Afrail, which is this idea that they both think that they can change fate. But Afrail has already changed his fate, but he still couldn't save his sister. And here we see Halia grappling with the fact that she couldn't save someone she cared about. She'll have to start being the squire to her who lost her knight. I don't think I should tell you, Quinidad says. I think you should just come see. Went right, I suppose, one of them declares. Look at that, by the sum. It's gone right through me. Vendum? Wait, he's talking? I wonder if his death is also technicality, because I could see it as like a twist where it's sort of like, oh yeah, I saw you die, but it doesn't mean you stay dead. He shows Halia the hole in his helmet, then the hole in his face, just to the left of his nose. Oh, looks like he's alive. Then he turns carefully and shows her the matching black hole in the back of his skull. It's torched and perfectly round and no bigger than a pinhead. Like the actual black hole just sitting there. She stares in wonder. She tries to say, "You're alive." She throws up on the deck. She's been through a lot. She got her a good distance. Understandable, Vendum says sympathetically. You've had a rough day. He turns his helmet over to confirm that yes, there is a matching hole drilled through the back. I just saw the brightest flash I think I've ever seen. rather than the eyes alone could see. Then I blacked out and woke up to Captain Slats here, looking disappointed. Okay, so we do know, just to be clear, that the it was stated that the angels can be wrong. It's just very, 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 very unlikely. So we do know the angels can be wrong about the about their calculations. And we do know it's not like true clairvoyance, like a magic clairvoyance. It's more like rapid quantum calculation to calculate like the most likely outcome. The captain's form turns the bathhouse fog into a golden glory. That's always the way with prophecy, isn't it? We see the moment, but never the context. You died, but you were not dead. So okay, so he just saw him die, but I guess he didn't. I guess he saw him quote unquote die, but he didn't have the full context for what was happening. So like he saw him get shot by a black hole and fall over, but he didn't. He wasn't able to like check if he's medically dead in his calculation. Halia bent over to clean up her own vomit and begins laughing. She can't stop. I'm impressed she can clean up her own vomit in this state. She can't stop. Oh, Sam, she cries. Oh, sir, I thought. Oh, what did I think? I thought. Oh, walls and some. A ray of Esteli's luminance passes over. Esquire, the captain says, "Your brain is badly bruised." Yeah. That was a really brutal thing to read. My brain is bruised. Halia laughs, sucks in powdered metal and vaporized porcelain. That also can't be good for your lungs or you. She begins hacking, but she can't stop laughing. My brain is bruised. Her knight is alive. A tiny black hole has gone through his skull and he's alive. You should be on the bridge, Slats, Sir Vondam says. The ship needs you. I only left the bridge seconds ago, outside the Sherazade. A few seconds more and they will receive word that we have defeated this incursion and the Sherazade has collapsed. I sent Sir Walker to secure the nearest innovator and innovator and dispose of any bombs aboard. The other two battles are still in progress, but we expect a favorable resolution. One of them has a bomb, but Nesteli has gotten in to disable it. So there's other angels on board. Bonham squints at Slats through the hole in his helmet. You came all this way to check on my death. I came all this way to see you to see your killer. I foresaw him also. Yes, Bonham gathers his weapons. Hard to figure out how that was so probable that you foresaw it as a certainty. I'd ask the man if he meant to do it, if he wasn't slime on a bulkhead. No, Halia was he got away. I saw him take a hope light and go. Do we see a hope light? Also, I wonder if that's like a pun on like hoplite, hope light. But hoplite's like a type of warrior though, not like a ship. Do we see a hope light? Maybe hope light and go. Maybe he could have survived the jolt when his vector caught up to him. Vonham looks sharply. What? Take a hope light? How? Captain Slash let him. Vonham wheels back in shock. You let a monoist suicide commando board this vessel, test our defenses, and fly away? He's not a monoist anymore, or suicidal. He's finding out how to live. Captain, from a human perspective, that's shockingly naive. From a slight perspective, Sir Vonham, that is why you need the sum. So it's a very interesting one thing we've seen in Magic, especially with Elspeth, is a bit of an exploration between the difference between angel mentality and human mentality. Especially since a lot of angels can look like basically just like people except with wings. But we definitely see, especially with like Elspeth, that angels seem to be a little bit more detached. Not necessarily like they're detached from reality, but like they have like a bigger picture in mind. And even though they can't have friends, they may not have as much like emphasis on like individual emotional attachment, which makes sense for something a creature type that's usually white aligned. So it's interesting seeing like this sort of like detached angel perspective, like a bigger picture that maybe not humans don't always get, or it just seems kind of weird or off-putting to humans because we don't have a hope light. They should report to a medic. Halia's knight has Halia, you have severe brain trauma, as does she. Okay, well, it's still interesting that even though she says it, it's put after she puts her knight's safety first, where it's like we have to take care of his brain trauma first. And even then, she puts like a comma here. Like this is almost like she. This is like, oh, it's like an afterthought. Like, oh yeah, and also I have brain trauma. Come on, Vonham says. Come on, Halia. It's your first victory. We've got to show your face. Come on. They stagger out onto the floor of the synodic sober. Also, have to wonder if like what the Angel is saying is if he's foreseen Alfredo no longer being monoist, but I also have to wonder if what he's getting at is like, will the monoists accept them? Like you could have got the eternity, but just came crawling back. You took mercy from the enemy, and a cheer goes up like a bird song from all around. Technics and their nooks ululate and howl. One of them swollen at his nose and at the nape of his skull throws up his arms and cheers back. I thought for a second I was like, oh, he just threw up like Halia. And cheers back. Halia can't stop laughing, though her lungs are going to rags. They won. They faced death and won. They passed through prophecy, predetermined death, and lawyered their way to a happy ending. Captain Slats flashes through the walls of econostasis. well, there's iconostasis. I don't know what that is. Back to the command pulpit. Either way, he's made of light, so he's probably just light, fast light traveling back there. Its voice peals like thunder. Oh, also Captain Flats is it's we were struck by three innovators. All three incursions were defeated. By my authority as coronel on the ship, I have ordered retaliation against Susur Secundi. We shall also Secundi means second, so second Susur, because we know Susur is a planet somewhere else. We came to the star to save it from its prison, but along the way to liberation, we may spare a few terawatts to rebuke our foe. Let me think. Do we have Coronel in the Planeswalker's Guide? The cheers redouble. It's gone wrong, Sir Vondem mutters in Halia's ear. Sir, Captain Slat's gone wrong. He looks at the hole in his helmet. You are right. The prophecy was a trick. The Monos putting a hole in my head, it wasn't inevitable. Unless something made it inevitable. Sir, a hole in the brain must do damage, even if it lets you live. Her night might be inflamed and encephalactic, and on the way to a sort of temporary wounded madness. Anstra, the Vondem says grimly, you are right, it's real, more real than I am now. She stared at him. I don't understand. The event of the black hole passing through my head was made inevitable. It was an engineered outcome. It blasted me against reality. And Anstruth, I don't know how it was done, but I have a damn good theory. Holly, if I'm right, then I must be under the same influence. I am also an Anstruth, living blasphemy. Dude, just take the W for once. I guess what he's saying is that maybe the gravity like warped the fate, because we do know the oh, here we go. Blasphemy do speak or think. Anstruth is to act against the grand cosmic ordinance of Sumerism. Anstruth is anti-epistemic, and anti-doctrinal and profane. Anstruth posits that which cannot be posited, assumes that which cannot be assumed. Because we know that it seems like the Monos have ways of like postponing death to an extent. But I'm wondering. But I guess he's saying because I should have died like your dream, sir. It's just a wound. Think of the improbabilities, Halia. The Monoist throws away his shot at a paradise, trying to kill me, and it works. And the captain foresees it as inevitable. The dice were loaded, and because Slats foresaw that inevitability, it was present to show the Monoist mercy and allow him off the ship. No, Halia, it's too much credit. So she's saying that he'll come back and kill him. Or he's saying that he'll come back and kill him. What are you saying? I'm saying that something wants the Monoist alive. Something he made contact with in the past. Or something he will come in contact with in the future. Oh, so that also makes sense. That doesn't mean the Astelia are vulnerable, Halia. Their bodies are lattices of quantum probability. Not as wet and noisy as us and me. And me, I wasn't vulnerable. Not until my life depended on the exact trajectory of a quantum void through my skull. Now, who knows? So basically he's saying he's an anomaly. Because we do know that, we were told that Astelia, like, Chaos especially, can like throw off their predictions. So I guess what he's saying is now I'm an anomaly who will throw off any further predictions. Impulsively, she touches his brow. He's burning hot. But then again, he's a solar knight. She gives him the unabashed scrutiny of the medic, checking his pupils left and right. We should report to the medic, sir. Yes, we should. A concussion is a serious injury, Squire. Once we're fit again, we're going after him. Him, the one who, except for the slimmest fortune, have killed our knight. I would like that very much, sir, she says, but it may be a long time before you're well to travel. I'll go as I am if the sum requires it. He touches the hole in his head, fronting at his hand as if expecting to find a hole in it too. I'm sorry that I live, sir. Oh, I'm not sorry that I'm alive, Halia. Never that. I'm glad to be alive, but I've just denied you the defining moment of your life. I just prevented the existence of Halia, who suffered my loss and made herself worth it. And I would have been very sad not to meet her if I had died, and now I'm sad not to meet her though I lived. Sir, she said with passion, I would much rather be worth your life than your death. Life is greater. So very interesting that like Halia, the way she sees it is that him dying would be a failure on her part, but he's like, I'm supposed to die so I can pass on my legacy, basically. So he's like it. So it's very funny that she's like basically torn up about the idea that he will die, and he was like, me dying is a good thing because it will help you become a better person. But she's like, if you die, obviously, I mean, I'm a failure of a person. The Dawn Star looks like a javelin. It moves like a javelin. It hurls disaster at the moments of the enemy, like the goddess hurls javelin in myth. The goddess hurls javelin in myth. The mechanism that undoes a super void into a star is in fact called a horizon javelin, which might be also named that. Well, it could be horizon like in the reference to like a sun comes up and down over the horizon. So like the idea of like horizon, like a rising sun and bringing a star back. But we also know that black holes have an event horizon. That could also be what is referring to. It is the Dawn Sire's heart. The Dawn Sire work requires tremendous energy, more than it can carry in its slender hull. So as long as fuel a heart, it has machines to fuel a horizon javelin. At the prow of the Dawnsire are a pair of Ignacio free electron lasers. The crew who works on them call them Nacho and Nacha. I wonder if that means anything. They are energized by wigglers capable of rendering a man down the mist, and each laser can focus the beam of light tight enough to split buttons on a shirt at a million kilometers. The purpose of Nacho and Nacha is to steal power from the dark gods. Fire laser on the right path, while the super wooden laser will slingshot around, returning to its starting point with greater energy. When it had okay, so that's why they brought up the hawking thing. Is they're basically taking advantage of what it sounds like they're basically taking advantage of the hawking theory, where it's like there's a pair and then you lose one pair and then the black hole's down one energy. Also, it makes more sense. Like I was talking about the event horizon, and the event horizon is kind of like the point of the black hole where you can't come back, so it might be circling around that. It might be the idea. The power can be used to fire the laser again, and the spirit harvested to charge up the horizon javelin. Isn't that ingenious? Achieve unlimited energy by trick-shotting yourself in the ass. Of course, Nacha and Nacho can also be used as orthodox lasers, meaning weapons. Listen closely. You'll hear the techniques of their exodus speaking a special prayer. Shot 18, Navarra, Navarra, Navarra program. Target range 16 million kilometers. Apparent motion 2 microcordians per second. Draw lead for 200 seconds. Switchyard release to Vi, so the AI. Devolving beamform authority. Scaling subvisor workers. Programmed hold. Pulling response management for blockers. Shot captain clears hold. Power to program. Standby. The Dawnsire is not aimed at Susur Secundi. Is aimed at the place Susur Secundi will be in 200 seconds. Nacha fires. The pulse train of laser energy strikes across 200 light seconds to the Monolith monastery world. The disciples of him who falls have prepared. Space is blistered in maze. Durable spread fields of energy-soaked incense. Nacha's train splinters and blooms over the face of Susur Secundi. The fractured world below shines with warlight. Fields of incense blaze up as plasma. The beam jitters slightly. Tiny sounds and trembles in the Dawnsire's hall as are amplified into errors. Its errors in the whole beam's path. Nacho doesn't fire, not yet. Nacho's watching. After all, any laser capable of focusing at 60 million kilometers is also a superb telescope. Nacho maps the path of Nacho's pulse train and finds his own aim port and fires. Shot 19, Orison program. Target range 16 million kilometers. Target in active litigation. What does litigation mean again? Run that by me again. The process of taking legal action. I don't think this is exactly what they're using it for here. Target in active. I guess maybe they're saying. I guess maybe they're saying they're taking legal action against the Monoliths for the attack. Vicious race begins. Each lap is 400 seconds long enough for light to go there and be back again. Nacho and Nacho try to map the Monolith's defenses and find a clear path through while the Monoliths hurry to adjust their own maze. Nacho and Nacho stab out again, salvoing their disapproval and at the warped orbit of Susur Secundi, until, so much sooner than the Monolith's tactical model predicted, Nacho hits. The monastery in construction above Susur Secundi jets violent plasma and lurches in its orbit. Exploded stone gushes like an artery into the maze world sky, fading slowly into a red bruise. As the light of the exchange spreads, every living thing with eyes and Sothera can see, scratched across the sky, the blood of the war in heaven. And if any of those eyes take note of the Hoplite Warmaker burning furiously away from the Dawnsire, heading anywhere but home, they do not say. So honestly, I'm having a lot of fun with these stories. They're very good, well written. Normally I play a bit of Magic the Gathering after this, but Arena after this, especially since I need to grind for because I want to be able to draft Active Eternities multiple times. But for now, I think I will probably stop. I think that's it for me. I'll see you guys later. Thanks for stopping by, even if you stop by for a short